Level up your hunting game and join the cause. Help preserve small-town Texas hunting culture and become a more successful hunter by learning the best ways to squeeze the most out of your budget and precious time out in the field. Welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Here are your resident bandits, Richard Kinchlow and Jimmy Byrne. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy here, along with Richard. Corn Bandit, or Corn Bandito, maybe? I don't know. What's up, Richard?
Corn Bandito.
You stealing the corn?
I am. God, speaking of, man, the corn prices are really bad this year. Funny, I just was not funny at all. I was just thinking about that. But some places are, $8.50 a bag type stuff.
Jesus, inflation.
And that's even for I think it's a little bit cheaper for bulk when you buy by the ton. But there's a lot of folks out there that are kind of getting their Labor Day, opening day of dove season plans ready to go fill feeders, and they are not happy.
Right.
Go figure. Everything is more expensive if they even have it.
Right. Well, I guess if folks are going to go out and fill feeders, if you're going to buy corn to do that,
yep.
Where do you reckon they should probably buy that stuff?
Well, that's very true. I recommend from a guy. Now, I would highly suggest supporting your local feed store. Let's face it. This has kind of been something we've been fighting against for years. When you buy corn from a big box store, okay, in the city or on some kind of country road, the corn is not their priority. Okay, that corn, and we've actually talked to people that actually have said this. That feed that they have out there is to get them to come in there, to get hunters to come into these big box stores and buy other stuff. All right, and so that's the reason why they have it. And a lot of the times, and this is probably not a fair blanket statement, but I think it's definitely accurate in some cases. A lot of the times, that corn's not well taken care of. Maybe it's sitting out there in the heat and humidity, okay, where corn really needs to be stored, in at least a semi-climate area. The other thing is, how fresh is it? That's something else to consider. Does it have weevils in it? I'll tell you this much: buying corn all these years I've been doing it, I don't think I have ever gotten a bag from a feed store that ever had weevils in it. And if y'all know what corn weevils are, they're these little bugs that get in there, and they'll take a piece of corn and bore holes in it. And sometimes the critter, if it's really bad, they'll just turn a whole bag into dust. Something to consider, but listen, it's expensive, and I highly recommend everybody supporting your local feed store for sure.
The other aspect of, when the corn price is really high, or the whatever feed prices, for feeding, feeding, for deer and whatnot,
right.
You don't want, or you want to eliminate as much as possible those damn feed bandits stealing. That corn that you're trying to keep for the deer. And, you made some great videos, showing them things about like coon hoods. Or the Spintech spinners.
Yes.
You can put on there, things like that,
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt. The second that you go to get your corn feeder going, as we always say, what is the first animal that will find that feed? Okay, sure, people will be like, well, actually, it was the rosy-bill-breasted northern cardinal. Like, right. Besides the rosy-bill-breasted cardinal, it's going to be the raccoons, all right? And, listen, when you get a group of them, all right, they're going to get greedy, and they are going to start trying to get up there. They're going to rip your spinner out. They're going to rip your cables out and whatnot. So a couple of things you've got to do. You either got to put a really good spin mechanism on there. Okay. So like the one that we like from from Spintech. Spintech, is that right? Yeah, that's right. That's the name of the product. Spintech. They make a really, really good one. We've got a video on our site about that. And also, truthfully, just putting a cage around your corn feeder is really a smart thing to do. Because that cage is going to prevent them from getting into your feeder mechanism and ripping your batteries out, et cetera, et cetera. If you're planning on going dove hunting, at your lease and not coming back down to deer season, you better make sure that that feeder is taken care of and is enclosed and is ready to rock and roll. And truthfully, if you've been feeding, protein and whatnot, you're about to get your corn feeder up and running. If you're going to be down there for a couple of days in dove seasons, I highly recommend setting a couple of coon traps with corn. Okay, it's too hot to use stink bait and stuff because the ants will get on it. But try to thin those coons out. You can take 4 or 5 out in one night. That'll definitely give your corn feeder a fighting chance. That's for sure.
And it can be kind of funny.
Oh, yeah, for sure, of course.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of maybe it's my weird sense of humor, but
yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah. So let's see. We're recording this about 2 weeks from the opening of dove season. Yeah. 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So,
God, I thought it was. God, I'm an idiot. I thought it was next week.
Well, no.
I'm dumber than a
but you might get in trouble.
Yeah, no. It's like, oh no, the guys in the Feed Bandit show said it opened up on August 28th this year. No, sir.
Can you hear the bar in the background next to me?
I can. I love it.
Yeah. For listeners, I'm sitting on the other side of a fence at an old Texas bar, 1896.
And dance hall.
Yes, when it was started.
But take me out to the dance hall. Great song. I really like that background song.
So yeah, I'm technically on location, I guess you could say.
Yes.
Yes.
You could be like a radio station and be giving away coffee cups that nobody uses.
Right. or koozies,
Yeah, or koozies that get used out of. Yeah.
Or koozies.
Right.
Yeah. So no, this is really cool. I won't say on the podcast what it is, but maybe I'll put a picture of it on the page. So
yeah, totally.
But no, it's really cool. Everyone ought to come out here and do it once in their life.
Absolutely.
Future podcasts, I'll talk a little more about it, I guess. But
for sure.
Anyway,
sure. Yeah, well, I mean, going back, I'm glad we got off topic or got on topic talking about the corn and all that kind of stuff, and it also pertains to your hunting license as well. People don't really fully realize it, but all these feed stores, okay, they are ready to rock and roll. They are ready to help you when it comes to ordering, or to printing off your hunting license. You can do it right there, and then actually they do get a small little fee from it. And let me tell you, folks, every little dime that we can give to these feed stores, keep them up and running and whatnot, is incredibly valuable. And a lot of them also have got a lot of the hunting gear and supplies that you need. So we always, if you've seen any of our social media, you will clearly see us saying, skip the big box stores and support your local feed stores, because again, they've got everything you need, no doubt.
Yep. All right. Well, with that out of the way.
Yep.
I think we're just going to talk about a few random interesting things that kind of came across our desks, if you will.
Love to.
Over the last week or so. First one was this article that I saw. It's called "The Deer in Your Yard Are Here to Stay." Now, the subtitle: "The deer population of the eastern U.S. has exploded, and cities are trying to keep it in check, but the options available to them are limited and fraught." Now, they should just fraught. It's like fraught with, kind of leaving me hanging there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The first paragraph, or the first couple paragraphs were interesting. It said a decade ago, deer were a rare sight on Staten Island. Well, is that surprising? White-tailed deer are thought to have abandoned the island in the 19th century, pushed by human development to open land in nearby New Jersey. In 2008, though, the estimated deer population of the 60 square mile borough of New York City was only 24. That's in 98 or 2008. Then the deer came back, swimming across the Arthur Kill and Raritan Bay from New Jersey in search of a new habitat. And then they reproduced. Boy, did they reproduce. It said an aerial survey of the deer population in 2014, so 6 years later, put it at 793. Then 3 years later, in 2017, the estimate was 2,200 deer. Mm-hmm. So on Staten Island, in New York City, literally, right, or in the borough, now there's 2,200 deer that they don't know anything to do with. And that's just kind of an example. And the article goes through numerous cities up in the Northeast, but a big point of the article is how they talk about efforts that they try to do to control the population, like setting up managed like culling programs.
Right.
And one I thought the way they described it, which is interesting, was like a combined sharpshooting cull process. Or a sharpshooting cull process. So I think that'd be interesting. Obviously, if it's in kind of a more of an urban setting or something,
right.
How you gonna do that? But anyway, obviously, a big part of it is they talk about the protesting of everything.
Right.
And like the how people just they can't put two and two together. Of like, hey, look, if you don't control this population, they're coming into the cities because sometimes there's a lot more easier food to get at, in the cities.
Yeah.
There's a picture here of this lady holding these signs protesting, saying, 100 years of peace shattered by shotguns.
Oh, what an idiot. God have mercy.
I thought that was
what? On opening day, we should hunt her, a stupid moron. I wonder what idiot meat tastes like. I got the way things are going, we might be trying it sooner than later. Well, I'll give you, it's interesting that we talk about sharpshooters and whatnot, because I know that Texas actually has got a handful of folks that do just that. I mean, they're paid bounty killers, as you would hear on spaghetti westerns and stuff.
How do I get that job?
That it's funny because I actually talked to one of the guys. He came to Rancho Bandito. He was helping kind of take over for our old trapper who ended up kind of up and leaving us. So he took over because he didn't really have an assignment, but we sat there like we were in a movie theater on an intense moment, eating the popcorn as this guy is sitting there telling us about his incredible job. Now, granted, he probably makes $40,000 a year, but he sure as heck gets to have a lot of fun. I mean, some of the things that he was telling us about is his special assignments are he basically has a license to kill. It's like James Bond, and he he's allowed to use suppressors and whatnot. And he was talking to us about some of the jobs that he did. There was and I don't remember all the details, but there was a big infestation of like black I'm about to say black hooded vultures, but I think that's the one in Africa. Black vultures in somewhere, and he actually had to go over there and take care of or wipe some out, with like a suppressed 22. He talked about an infestation of Canada geese, go figure. And he had to take care of those as well. And then, deer at Lakeway, coyotes and Allen. And it was absolutely fascinating. One of the creepiest things he said he had to do was he had an assignment on Fort Hood. And apparently, and this was at the cemetery in the winter, apparently the hogs were getting up there and they were rooting around the soldiers' graves. And of course, that's a major no-no. And the way the guy kind of described it is that you've got habitat. You've got like the thick area, and then you've got this beautiful, lush, well-maintained cemetery, and you've got these hogs are coming out there in the middle of the night and rooting stuff, rooting up like they do. So that was one of his jobs, was to go out there and assassinate all these hogs that were out there doing that kind of thing. So. It's pretty crazy. And, I have always been of the opinion that, going out there and shooting them is the best way into doing it. And he was telling us that he shoots a subsonic round. So it's already quiet, very quiet. Plus he's got Plus, he shoots with a suppressor, and he shoots ballistic tips so that there is no exit per se. And that's how they're able to operate in the city and whatnot. So, yeah, hell of a job, though. Hell of a job.
Interesting. Well, I mean, if I was single without a family, that'd be an awesome job.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's interesting that the military would bring in an outsider, I guess, like that to do that.
Yep.
You'd think they'd have a few people on base that would love to sit out there and.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I volunteer. Yeah. But it's one of the there's so many problems we have in this world. But I think one of the solvable problems we have in this world is hunger. I think a very successful program. Okay, yeah, sure. In the United States, obviously, it's nothing like Bangladesh or Kenya or whatnot. But the U.S., especially the big cities, still got a hunger problem. You hear about all the kids whose scumbag parents, and not all of them, okay, but a lot of them, can't don't take care of their kiddos, for whatever reason. So these these homeless shelters and these soup kitchens and whatnot, they rely on meat. And so Hunters for the Hungry is a great program, where they do just that, where you can go and you can donate a deer for $20, processor takes care of it for you, and you get a $20 tax write-off, depending on how many you donate. Mm-hmm. And I think that in areas like this, these urban settings where you've got nuisance deer out there, if you can take them, shoot them and throw them in the back of the truck and get them to a processing facility, hey, guess what? You may have just fed somebody's hungry belly for a couple of days. So I think that's a very optimal solution to that, the overcrowding and whatnot.
Right. No, that's a good point. That's an absolutely good point. That this lady with not holding the sign fails to realize, but I think it exposes probably the inherent hypocrisy of folks like that. She cares more about animals than her fellow human beings.
Right.
So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's very true. I wonder if some stupid idiot like her, has actually thought about that. I'd be curious. We should go interview her. 100 years of silence and shotguns, and we can write 2,000 years of hunger. You dumb bleep bleep.
Yeah, she would just call us baby killers.
And she probably will. Probably will.
All right. Well, I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. Just an interesting current event, if you will.
Yep.
But well, I think the last thing I got here for us to talk about, especially because I'm getting absolutely destroyed by mosquitoes sitting here.
Yeah.
about to carry me off.
No, I understand.
Just if folks on here, if you're not subscribed, Texas Parks and Wildlife sent out their August 2021 email, and has some interesting and I guess encouraging things to say. First thing they talk about, it's called "Dove Season Looks Good."
Yeah,
it just says in the first paragraph. If the February freeze affected our dove population, those losses have been balanced out by reproductive success due to the rainy year. The season, which she talked about on the last podcast.
Oh yeah,
says the season forecast ranges from stellar in the South Zone to average good in the North Central zones.
Oh, great.
Okay, everyone in the South Zone, watch out. Get
that's right.
Get an extra case of shells at your feed store.
That's right.
But so that's encouraging. Said just one quote here from what is this? The Webless Migratory Game Bird Program leader.
Yep.
Owen Fitzsimmons. He said, quote, "The cool, wet summer means habitat conditions are still really good. So late season hunting may be better than usual this year." So there you go.
Yep.
So,
well, yeah, and there's something else that they're really not talking about. I'm actually kind of surprised that he didn't mention, but it was one of the first things that I kind of thought of as far as the season is concerned. You kind of jarred my memory when you mentioned that comment about the the north and central areas not being as good. When we start to get these cool fronts, and again, like I said before, all you got to do is go look at the weather and North Dakota or whatever that country is to the north of U.S. And when you start to see it start to get pretty cold, which by the way, I think you could probably already start seeing all that. You can expect to see birds start to kind of make their way down. And I think one of the things that is going to be so big this time around is the fact, again, like you said, with all this rain and cooler weather, we just had a hell of a lot better habitat as far as water is concerned, seed-bearing plants, etc. And it's going to hold a lot more of these migratory dove, which will really be nice. Now, of course, if this wet trend continues, okay, well, we all know what happens when we get the actual cold front, blow those birds out of there and makes me really pissed off. But so, again, we'll wait and see if that happens. But I really think a lot of these migratory dove are really going to be in for a nice surprise. On the flip side of that, I also think that, all of this, this habitat, when we talk about habitat, obviously food, water, shelter, something that I think actually could be a negative to all this rain is the fact that, a lot of these seed-bearing plants, sunflowers and whatnot, obviously sunflower is a weed. They grow in fields and whatnot. Dove really prefer to feed on, semi to almost bare ground. And you got to think about it. Look, next time you get a chance and you see a dead sunflower head, okay, a native sunflower head, and again, it's good and brown, crush it in your hand and look at those little seeds, okay? They're absolutely tiny. I mean, incredibly tiny. And so you can think about that. If you've got, a dove who's trying to make his way through some thick grass, and trying to feed on some sunflower that fed, if that grass is too thick, it ain't going to happen. So I do agree that I think it's going to be a banner year and whatnot, but I think you also got to consider where you're hunting. If you're in a field that that hasn't been mowed, okay, and it's got a ton of understory grass, but it's still got sunflowers, that's going to be tough, man. I really think it is. But
hard to find if you shoot one. Probably.
Oh, okay. Well, that
if you don't have a dog,
absolutely. Well, God, even with a dog,
that's true. Yeah.
Even with a dog, a tired dog with a dry nose is not going to. I mean, it's not going to do you any good.
Just wear your snake boots.
Yeah, boy, isn't that the case? Isn't that the case? Yeah, and that's the other thing. With this cool weather and this rain and stuff, everything is having a banner year, and that includes our serpent friends. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So watch out. Yep.
Big time.
Well,
big time.
Yeah. The last thing to remind folks about, I think, on this, what they talk about on this email, and I believe you take advantage of or try to every year, is this entering in to win these big time Texas hunts.
Yes.
They say the entries close October 15th. So, have you entered?
Oh yeah, every blankety blank year, $65, and so if you're interested in in trying to win some of these hunts, I highly suggest you do this about 2 weeks ago, because some of them have already closed, and in fact, I just lost. This is like the fourth year consecutive. Of course, I lost the. I always sign up for the pronghorn antelope. They've got kind of different ones. They've got one that you can go by yourself. They've got one that's guided. And then they got both those options in the Panhandle and in the Trans-Pecos. So, it doesn't matter for me because I've lost both of them. But no, they still got a ton of whitetail, a lot of exotic stuff, and I love what Texas Parks and Wildlife does. If you look at some of these, if you look at some of where these hunting places are, you'll be like, oh God, it's Rosemont Park. That's where we camped and blah blah blah. But that's Bambi. Well, just like the idiot with the sign, okay. Even at state parks, deer will eat themselves out of house and home. So in state parks, they've got to regulate. Now, my advice, and I don't know why I'm saying this because God knows I don't need any more competition, but some of these hunts take place in the hill country. in the Rio Grande Valley where they've got exotics. And I've actually heard of some guys in the hill country that will come back with 6 or 7 axis deer.
Good Lord.
Hunt. So you literally, you're hunting in a camp zone or a campsite. I think they even put corn down for you, and you just it's a free for all with the axis, and of course with hogs and all that kind of stuff. So
good God, that'd be
I have not
my dream.
No, I know that drawing has not happened yet, but obviously I will check in if it does happen. I've got preference points, so we'll see if that counts. Probably won't, but
well, it would be cool to get the Texas Grand Slam.
Oh my God, that would be awesome. Yep.
So, maybe someday.
Yep. No, there's absolutely. Yeah, and by the Grand Slam, the white-tailed deer, the antelope, the pronghorn antelope, the desert muley, which is the only mule deer species we have, and then of course the Texas bighorn, which that is the most coveted of all tags in the state of Texas. They do the surveys in. I think they do one in May, and that's actually we lost a couple of biologists in a horrible helicopter accident. So that this year is going to be kind of a somber event because two folks died, and all for the name of preservation of this incredible species that we're bringing back in the Trans-Pecos. But so they'll do another survey here in the next couple of weeks, I think, and then from there they'll issue the number of tags. And it's typically only 2. One goes to this one, and then another one is done some other way. I think it's given to the Texas Bighorn Society, and of course the highest bidder wins, which is normally, probably north of $500,000 if I had to guess.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe someday.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else you want to impart to
That's all I got, man.
Loyal listener?
All I got.
All right. Well,
all I got.
Like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, just if you're thinking about buying your corn to take out to your land,
yes.
Or you need to renew your license, you get some shells, whatever might need to get, please consider that local feed store close to where you hunt.
Yep.
Really use the help. So,
no doubt.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
With that, here comes the local cat coming up to see what I'm doing.
Yes.
It's literally coming and walking laid right next to me.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know this cat from Adam, but I have seen it around. It's lived at the bar here. So
is it like the cat at the Rancho Bandito?
This one's black and white.
Oh, okay. All right.
But yeah, I mean, very similar.
Tuxedo cat is what they call it.
Yeah. Very similar.
I love it.
But all right.
All right.
The Corn Bandit. We will catch you and I guess the rest of the folks on the next episode. Thank you all for listening. And support your local feed store.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit Podcast. If you like what we discuss on the show, be sure to sign up to our email list to get even more killer hunting ideas, tips, tricks, and exclusive deals on innovative hunting gear and services delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up over at feedbandit.com or simply by texting the word bandit to 33777. See you on the next one, and remember, support your local feed store.